Welcome to Money Watchdog,
where we deep dive into the biggest news stories in business, technology, and most certainly money. Today, we're tapping into a Q3 CNBC article. Now, as we round out the year, this made me want to deep dive and research this topic. First, we'll tackle the article and the two massive companies involved. Then we're going to go on a journey and discuss the likely changes Apple would embrace for this company in Disney's position. First, let me start off by saying, although I may be on point with this hypothetical, it's pure speculation on my part. Obviously, if Apple were to bring me in-house...
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man? Bro, I'm out, man. I'm tripping.
I'd be able to execute this plan flawlessly, needless to say.
Bullshit.
Okay, with that said, let's get into it. Now, before we explore the article, I think it's important to explore the two companies, the current situation, and why would Apple even entertain the idea of this type of acquisition. So first up, Apple. Apple is synonymous with innovation. It was founded in 1976 by Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, and Ronald Wayne. Apple started as a personal computer pioneer, and it has since grown into a global leader in electronics, software, and services. I think the guy Ronald Wayne, he has a pretty funny story, man. It's pretty sad. He really fumbled the bag, but that's a different story. Now, with its iconic products like iPhone, iPad, Mac, Apple has just not dominated the market, but it's defined it. Known for its sleek design and user-friendly interface, Apple stands at the forefront of the tech industry, constantly pushing boundaries. But with all of this success, it has been some struggles, right? They face stiff competition and the need to continually innovate in a rapidly changing market. Although Apple has been particularly cautious when it comes to M&A, they're always looking for opportunities to increase their market share with many revenue streams. And then we jump into Disney. Now, on the other side of the story, they're the undisputed titan of entertainment. It was founded back in 1923 by Walt and Roy O. Disney. It began as a small animation studio and has since grown into a multimedia empire spanning movies, television, theme parks, and much, much more. Disney's journey from Snow White to the Seven Dwarfs to the creator of vast, bold universes like Marvel and Star Wars is nothing short of magical. With its acquisition of the studio Pixar, Marvel, Lucasfilms, Disney has continued to expand its reach, bringing joy and wonder to audiences worldwide. However, it has been navigating recent challenges in the digital era, adapting to new platforms and changing consumer behaviors. Currently, just to give you a snapshot, Disney is carrying substantial debt, somewhere in the neighborhood of about 40 to 50 billion. That is against an EBITDA of about 14 to 15 billion. Now, just in my research, this is not always a bad thing. However, considering some of the struggle areas of the business, it's definitely a concern for shareholders and analysts. Apple buying Disney would be a storybook ending for Iger, but fairy tales aren't real. Shout out to CNBC for providing us with this content. Now, key points for this particular article. For years, analysts and reporters have speculated that Apple might want to buy Disney. Key point number 2. There will be likely major regulatory issues, and media mega mergers have a long track history of abject failure and value destruction. Can you say that twice? Media mega mergers. Right, key point number 3. Apple's history suggests it stays away from large M&A, and there's little evidence that Apple actually wants to buy Disney. So when we move into the article, the author starts out, about 10 years ago, I invented a rule about covering mergers and acquisitions that still hasn't failed me. He starts it out with saying, will Apple buy insert your own company of your choice? And the answer is no. So basically, the author is starting this out by saying how unlikely it is for Apple to buy a company of this size. Generally, they stay away from these large acquisitions and choose to develop teams and companies in-house. So it moves on to say Apple almost never buys name brand companies. Its largest takeover was 2014 $3 billion deal for Beats Electronics. That's interesting. So their largest deal was several years ago for $3 billion. If they were to buy Disney, I mean, we're talking at least 150. You know, they have a They have a market cap of about 150 billion. Not to say that they would purchase it for that amount, but it gives you an idea of the range. So it would actually be their largest deal to date. So that's pretty interesting. Now, Apple is strict about its culture and its focus, while Microsoft, which they're comparing it to, has acquired its way to increased scale, buying Activision Blizzard for 69 billion, LinkedIn for 26 billion, Nuance Communications for 20 billion, and 5 other companies for more than 5 billion. M&A isn't in Apple's DNA. Now, for years, analysts and reporters have speculated Apple might want to buy Disney, a company with a market valuation of nearly 150 billion. The ties between the two companies are historically strong. Apple co-founder Steve Jobs became Disney's largest shareholder after Disney acquired Pixar, which Jobs, of course, owned back then. They acquired it for 7.4 billion back in 2006. The deal also gave Jobs a seat on the Disney board and fostered a close relationship between Jobs and Disney's chief executive Bob Iger. So basically, there is some relation between the two companies, being the late Steve Jobs, the part of Disney, because they acquired his company Pixar. So they do have some ties there. Now, Apple's market capitalization is 3 trillion. Buying Disney wouldn't even classify as a bet the company transaction. So kind of what we touched on earlier. So Apple is worth 3 trillion and Disney has a valuation of about 150 billion. So if we do quick math, 3 trillion, 10% of 3 trillion is 300 million. Half of that is the 150. So that 150 represents about 5% of Apple's market cap, if my math is right. 4 key areas are technological integration and innovation, executive leadership refinement, repositioning streaming strategy, and generating strategic partnerships. Now, when we talk about technological integration and innovation, the objective of that would be to seamlessly integrate Apple's advanced tech with Disney's content and entertainment infrastructure. Now, a real life example would be, let's just say they came up with a Disney experience mode on all of its devices. Now, they would utilize AR or augmented reality for an immersive storytelling. Imagine turning your living room into a scene from a Disney movie, or using Apple glasses to have a virtual meet and greet with various different animated characters. Now, the outcome of this would be transformative for visitor experiences, leading to an increased park revenue and a stronger brand presence. Executive leadership refinement. This is an interesting one simply because the objective of this would be to cultivate a leadership team focused on synergy between technology and entertainment without overt political leanings. Now, I did a quick reference into Disney's website, and they don't currently have someone that's on the executive leadership team that's spearheading any sort of software engineering or any sort of AI initiative. So a real life example would be to appoint some sort of chief synergy or some sort of chief innovation officer. Now, the point of these particular individuals would be responsible for steering clear of political issues that go against business initiatives. I mean, don't say anything from a political standpoint that are against your business interests.
When we last talked, you said, I believe that everyone should be treated with dignity and respect, and that all roads lead to equality. How should people think about your commitment to equality and the politics of Texas, which would seem to be clashing with that?
There will always be cases, John, where we're either selling or operating in a place where we have a difference of opinion on something. But I'm telling you from our heart, we believe in treating everyone with dignity and respect. And that's how we show up as a company. We believe in being a part of the community and trying to advocate for change rather than pulling the mode up and going away.
Then we got repositioning streaming strategy. Now, the objective of this would be to reinvent Disney Plus with a cutting edge technology and content strategies that leverage Apple's global tech infrastructure. Now, what would be a real life example of this? Now, I came up with this name for Disney Plus. It would be rebranded as Disney Plus Infinite. Now, this particular streaming platform will offer a tiered AI-driven platform that customizes viewer profiles based on viewing habits and even mood detection through your Apple Watch and Vision Pro goggles. Now, we're talking about interactive endings, educational extensions, and Apple Music integration for a personalized soundtrack. Last key area would be generating strategic partnerships. The objective will form strategic alliances that leverage the combined technological, creative, and market strengths of Apple and Disney. So what would be a real life example of this? Now, imagine if, we're doing a lot of imagining today, but imagine if Disney were to partner with SpaceX for a Mars education initiative. Now, they would stream educational content directly to schools worldwide with exclusive interviews from the International Space Station, Mars rovers, and so forth and so on. Now, what would be the possible outcome? They would inspire the next generation of explorers and innovators. They would expand even further their market reach, and then they can create a new revenue stream, right? Imagine if they have school boards across the world. They have different educational platforms that can license this content. That's an additional revenue stream that's coming into Disney, and it would enhance brand loyalty across different sectors. So these are 4 key areas that, in my opinion, that Apple would implement based on what they've done in the past for their own company. Listen, if you find videos like this interesting, consider liking and subscribing and hit the notification bell for more content like this.